All right, let's talk Pittsburgh Steelers. We're obviously in the thick of training camp, getting very close to the first preseason game. First time to see what the Steelers are going to look like against live competition. But lost in the hustle and bustle of the big news, the big names, the really exciting young stars. There's an under the radar rookie who we talked about a little while ago, had a chance to make an impact. And folks, he is. Steelers have a hidden gem emerging for them in training camp. We'll get to all that in just 1 second. But first, I'm Nick. That is Andrew. And this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, now that we're deep into the training camp, we're starting to see some of the late rounders, the undrafted free agents, the potential steals, right? The guys that were looked over once or twice as they get more repetitions and get more opportunities. We're seeing these guys emerge as the really are true playmakers. And there's one guy in particular, we're talking defensive back Sebastian Castro out of Iowa, who made a name for himself recently. He was a guy to watch heading into training camp, and he is living up to that label with this recent reporting. Let's pull this first post up, courtesy of Steelers Depot. Just a quick highlight from the report. Don't look now, but undrafted free agent rookie safety Sebastian Castro may well be turning up the heat in a battle for the last spot in the secondary. The former Hawkeye had a big day in the last practice before Players' Day off. This was over the weekend, recording an interception and a goal line stop. If you haven't seen footage of the interception, it is absolutely bananas. You should check it out. This is a guy who's making a lot of plays, kind of slow to start training camp. But look, that's going to happen for undrafted free agent rookies. You're not going to get a lot of reps. You're not going to get a lot of opportunities as camp goes on. You're going to get more of those chances. And when you see guys like Castro making plays, showing up, whether it's on the goal line, whether it's forcing takeaways, forcing turnovers, that's a great sign that they will find a role into that team. And I think Castro, when you look at where he can fit into this defense, it makes sense. Let's go into our first chart to highlight what I'm talking about. So this is the Steelers secondary, obviously, of course, after trading away Minkah Fitzpatrick, really highlighting the safety position. So this is, if you look at the four safeties on the screen here, this is a collection of all the safeties in the National Football League last season that qualified. This is their EPA, expected points added, their total. The snaps are the x-axis on bottom there. So you can see the four current safeties that make up the Steelers two deep is highlighted right there. You got Deshaun Elliott working right to left, Chuck Clark, Juan Thornhill, and Miles Killebrew. What you'll notice is that line in the middle of there is that EPA at 0, which basically means you're not contributing anything positively, but you're not contributing anything negatively either. You're just basically a meh kind of player. And if you look at the Steelers safeties, 3 of them are meh, right? Deshaun Elliott is pretty solid, right? He's above average there. Good to see that. But the other 3 guys are just they're just okay. And look, if you want to go to the playoffs and not win a playoff game, meh, that'll do it, right? But that's not what the Steelers obviously are trying to do. They're trying to excel. And when you look at a guy like Sebastian Castro, let's go and jump into our next graphic here, if you don't mind, so we can take a look at this. He has the potential to be a above average player. He's not a meh kind of guy, right? This is his 2023 coverage and overall grades compared to some first and second round talents. You can see Castro all the way over on the right, overall in blue, coverage grade in red. Working left to right, you've got Travis Hunter, Trey Amos, Jade Barron, and then Castro. And again, this is Castro's 2023 numbers. He had a big drop off in 2024. That's why he went undrafted. But if you look at him at his peak collegiately, he was as good, if not better, than a lot of first and second round talent guys. Now, there's a reason he went undrafted. He had a disappointing 2024 as a cover guy, overall grade defensively as well. But when he is at his peak, when he reaches his max potential, which he did for a time in college, he was elite. And when you talk about a team like the Steelers that's trying to return to the ranks of the elite and not just the ranks of the meh, Castro has an opportunity. But when you talk about what the Steelers also really emphasize specifically, let's focus on run defense here. They need safeties, and they emphasize this forever. Fill the box, stop the run, make plays. We talk about a goal line stop earlier in the report. Let's go to the safety run defense grade, comparing last year's numbers and the 2-year average for safety Sebastian Castro and 2 very athletic, 2 very talented rookie safeties in their own rights, Xavier Watts with the Atlanta Falcons and Nick Amon-Warrior with the Seattle Seahawks. And you can see here the 2024 run defense grades in blue, the 2-year average in red. Sebastian Castro on the right there, significantly better than Watts and Amon-Warrior, who, by the way, are really good players in their own right. We've done stories on them. They're going to be really nice players in the National Football League. Both teams, the Falcons with Watts, the Seahawks with Amon-Warrior, are very excited they got both those players. But the point I'm trying to make here is that Sebastian Castro, when he's at his peak, when he's playing his best football, when it's all coming together, he is not a meh guy. He's not a guy that's like, well, he's cheap. He's an undrafted free agent. At least he's not going to cost a lot against the cap. He's an aggressive team first, really highly emotional, high IQ kind of guy. He's on a scrappy guy, all those kind of things that we kind of push to the side when it comes to these cheaper kind of undrafted free agents. No, don't get me wrong. Sebastian Castro is a high energy guy. He is a high workout guy. He's a great work ethic, all that kind of stuff. But what he also is in terms of high upside is potential. And this is why I think it was so crazy he went undrafted, because when you look at his potential and what he did for Iowa, Big Ten school, big program, it's first round kind of stuff. It's second round kind of stuff. It's above average kind of stuff. The Steelers safeties outside of Elliott, three guys, they're meh. They're average guys. They're kind of like, they'll get the job done. Right now, the Steelers, if you look at the team as a whole, they've been making moves trying to get past that. Well, it's just okay the entire offseason. You look at Metcalf. You look at bringing in Aaron Rodgers, right? You look across the board what the Steelers are trying to do. They're trying to move past, hey, just good enough. We'll see if it works this season, but it's very clear they're trying to push this franchise for the first time in a long time. The addition of Jalen Ramsey past the, hey, listen, we're just going to rely on the fact we're Mike Tomlin going to play good defense, all that kind of stuff, and we'll find a way to beat the Ravens at home once a year. We'll beat the Bengals at home, and we'll get to the playoffs, and we'll see what happens. They're trying to get past that. They're trying to just get past that. Just good enough. And this is a guy, Sebastian Castro, emerging as a playmaker who fits exactly what the Steelers are looking for. I think this is a massive undrafted free agent steal emerging for Pittsburgh. Again, he has to show it out over the course of training camp, more opportunities, and I think he will. I think he'll do well in preseason. I think when it's all said and done and we look back at this 2025 draft class, obviously a lot of big names for the Steelers. Listen, we like Harmon. We like Jack Sawyer. Those are really good football players. Will Howard's getting a lot of hype as well. Really good draft class overall for Pittsburgh, if we're being totally honest. But when you look back at this entire class and you think of a guy that embodies really what the Steelers need in terms of reaching potential, being more aggressive, a high upside team, a high upside player, look no further than Sebastian Castro. All right, Miles, I know I just threw a lot at you, threw a lot of numbers at you, a bunch of charts. I think it's very interesting stuff, and I'm curious what your thoughts are. But first, Steelers fans, in the comment section below, we're talking defensive backs here, talking Sebastian Castro. So I've got a question for you guys, and I think this one's pretty hard. Who is the best defensive back in Pittsburgh Steelers history? I'm going to let you go corner or safety. You can go a bunch of different directions here. You could go 70s era, 90s era, 2000s era. There's a million ways you could go, but you can only pick one. It's a really good one. Who is the best defensive back in Steelers history? Let us know in the comment section below. And while you're down there, make sure you go to our description box and sign up for our weekly newsletter, courtesy of the Substack platform. 100% free, doesn't cost you anything. A lot of extra content there to help you get ready for the season, extra articles, extra stats, and we even highlight the best comments of the week. So if you have a great comment, you may find yourself in there. So make sure you check it out. Sign up in the description box below. But Mize, enough from me. Over to you. What are your thoughts on this latest out of Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Nick, Sebastian Castro is a guy that is really impressive as far as what he has done. And when you look at that 2023 year, it really just jumps off the page at you. And I think that's the key here. This is a guy at, like you said, at his peak, he is really, really an elite player. Even having a down year, he did some things really, really well. I love that even in a down year, his run defense grade was higher than a lot of the better safeties in the college football world last year. And I think one thing that, I look at when I see his stats that jumps off the page to me, a stat I really like to look at is stops, plays made by the defenders that are losses for the offense. And when you look at Sebastian Castro and his stops and what he's able to do as far as that goes, he's really, really productive. And let's follow the trend here. 2-year average over these three guys that we're talking about, Nick and Minwari, 37 stops over the last 2 years. Xavier Watts, 41 stops there. Then Sebastian Castro, 57 stops for him over the last 2 years. This is a guy who, in that 2023 season, he had 36 stops. Xavier Watts, I think his best season, he had 23, and Amari had 19, his best season. This guy is absolute stop getting machine. He can shut down offenses. He makes big time plays. So not only is he great, in all of these other aspects, but this guy can just really affect the offense negatively. And I think That's where the Steelers need to get back to. They need to get back to some of those great DBs, like you said, like the Troy Polamalu's of the world, guys that can come in and strike fear into the hearts of offenses, saying, "I don't want to face this guy. He always seems to know how to come in at the right time and really make these offenses have negative plays. Come in, make the right tackle at the line of scrimmage, guess a snap count, whatever the case may be." That's the kind of guy I think we're seeing in Sebastian Castro, and already making plays in camp. That's good. It's what I like to talk about. I think something big for me is the next step in the progression. All right, this guy, he played whatever he did in college. That's great. How does he test against guys coming into the draft? Okay, he tests really good. Now, how does he do in against other college guys, like in rookie mini camp, stuff like that? Okay, he does good there. What's the next progression? All right, how is he doing against actual NFL caliber players in these training camps? Seems like he's doing really good. So he is checking the boxes. Sebastian Castro is showing why he deserves to be an NFL player, even though he's undrafted. I think this guy is going to be a big contributor. I think he's a bright future with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, and if you look at what the Steelers have done this offseason, there has been sort of a trend, right? Because if you go back to 2024, they brought in at quarterback Russell Wilson and Fields, of course, Justin Fields. And Russell Wilson at that point in his career, and still is, he's sort of he's a safe bet, right? He's no longer like the superstar he was at a time, but he's solid. And Justin Fields is like, well, it's a cheap deal, right? It's a low risk opportunity for Justin Fields, right? We all know he's not going to be a franchise superstar. We saw what he was in Chicago. He's a good athlete, great set of physical tools. But it's low risk. It's a cheap. You're bringing him in too, right? And you could see the Steelers, what they did from that offseason, where it was very, just, hey, cheap, team friendly, low risk. This offseason, it's a lot more high upside. It's, hey, we're going to swap out Pickens for Metcalf because we think Metcalf's more polished. Hey, we're going to bring in Darius Slay, a veteran. Hey, we're going to go Minka for Jalen Ramsey. Hey, we're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers, right? We're going to be more aggressive. Hey, we had Najee Harris. We're going to let him go and draft Caleb Johnson, a guy who may not be as skilled as Najee Harris, but as a runner has a lot higher upside. And that's what we've seen from the Steelers really this entire offseason. Even Derek Harmon, right? A lot of people look at him as a defensive lineman and say he's an upside defensive lineman. He's got a lot more risk, but his upside is a guy like Hayward, right? And that's where they drafted him. They wanted him to be the next Hayward. The question is, will he live up to that or not? But across the board, the Steelers have been heavily focused on high upside players, right? For the past half decade or so, it's been a lot more, just don't upset the apple cart. It's, hey, let's keep Matt Canada a lot longer than we need to. Hey, Kenny Pickett, let's give him more time. Hey, let's keep recycling these concepts and these players and everything like that. And the reality is we've seen the results, right? No playoff win since 2016? And we need to see changes in Pittsburgh. And this offseason, we've seen a lot more of it, right? It started a little bit in 2024 with filling out some, random analyst positions here or there. Omar Khan making some changes in the front office, but it really hasn't trickled down to the players and to the actual integration of certain players until 2025. And we're seeing it in training camp. Much more aggressive, high upside. The good news is that means you've got a chance to be a lot better both this season and the future. The risky thing is instead of, hey, worst case scenario, you go 9-8, worst case scenario, you go 5-12, and the wheels fall off. But here's the important thing for Steelers fans is that you have to risk it, as the great Bruce Arians used to say, for the biscuit. And Sebastian Castro, he's a risky, high upside undrafted free agent. He's a guy that will either be nothing and he'll be cut and he will have been a waste of a camp body, or he's going to be a big time playmaker, a key depth piece for many years to come. He is a definitely swing and a miss kind of guy because his numbers are all over the place. At his peak, he is a stud. At his worst, he's a guy that shouldn't be in the NFL. So far, looks like he's a guy that's much closer to the stud target than it shouldn't be in the NFL target. Time will tell, but I think what we're seeing for the Pittsburgh franchise across the board is much riskier, much more high upside moves when it comes to the decisions they're making through free agency, through rookies across the board. And Steelers fans, you should be very excited about it because if nothing else, that means change is finally here. And from what you've dealt with the past 8-9 years, change should be a very welcome thing.